Reading comments on YouTube videos is sort of like getting a nice back massage, while getting randomly and periodically kicked in the groin. Let's read some comments, shall we? Viva Fry, Montreal litigator turned YouTuber, and in this vlog we're gonna read some comments on one of my most recent videos where I tongue-in-cheek humorously called out Legal Eagle on his bias in his breakdown of the Trump whistleblower complaint. And I acknowledge that it is a sensitive topic, but I do refuse to believe that there is still no room for humor in this world in which we live. And in reading the comments to that video, I said to myself that I'm gonna have to do a video where I read the comments to that video, on the one hand because it's gonna allow us to provide some additional information on the substance of the video itself, and on the other hand to illustrate what it's like as a creator to read the comments in the comment section. So let's get started, shall we? Now, as you'll notice, I blocked out the names and the avatars of the people who made the comment, not to deny them the credit that they deserve for their comment, but just to avoid looking like I'm singling them out or trying to draw more attention to them. But let's start with the back massage. I like how you call Legal Eagle out and maintain political neutrality. At no point did I hear you say Trump did or did not actually commit a crime. You just put the facts out as you saw them, quite the contradiction from Legal Eagle. I watch Legal Eagle too. I hope he responds to this video. Better yet, you both do live streams where you discuss it live so neither of you can claim the other said something he didn't. First of all, I would love to do a live stream with Legal Eagle. I think there is room for discussion here. There is room for pushback on both sides as to how each of us see the situation. But we'll see what the cards hold as far as that is concerned, and while I can go and read hundreds of more flattering, ego-stroking comments, which would make me feel very good, but as I always say, you don't learn from flattery, you learn from critique. So let's get to the groin kicking. Just the title leads me to believe you are actually the one with bias. Then I watched the video and confirmed. Should have realized you were a Trumper after your biased Covington HS student videos. Unhappy emoji. This comment sort of perfectly illustrates the false dichotomy that has been pounded into the psyches of people in the era of modern politics. Politics, unfortunately, is seen as an all or nothing proposition. You are either all in for someone or you are all in against them, and that is the wrong way to view the world. And we're going to get to flesh this out in greater detail with the next comment, but very rarely in politics should anyone be all in for or all in against any one politician. A good politician can have bad policy, and a bad politician can have good policy. But at the very least, if we rely on the comment, at least the person did not rely on my title alone to determine my bias. They went and watched the video, which confirmed to them that I was in fact biased. And I can understand why someone thinks that I'm biased in my analysis of Legal Eagle's video, because I've claimed the Legal Eagle is biased, so therefore when I watch his video, I'm going to view it through the eyes of someone who thinks he's already biased. And therein lies the multi-layers of bias and self-reflection. But I do hope that people appreciate, and based on the comments section, most people do appreciate that the title is tongue-in-cheek humor. And when I refer to Legal Eagle's bias, I'm only referring to an underlying political bias that I believe colors his interpretation of the facts as relate to situations that are highly political. And to justify what this person perceives to be my political bias, they refer to my breakdown and analysis of the... You wanna get up here? 1, 2, 3, of the Covington kids lawsuit. Now, in fairness to me, I did make two politically opposing predictions as relates to the two defamation lawsuits that are currently out there. One being the Covington Catholics defamation lawsuit, the other one being the AJ defamation lawsuit. And in both cases, I did make the prediction that I believe damages will be ordered to be paid on the basis of defamation. I believe I applied consistent criteria and analysis when analyzing situations that can themselves be some form of political litmus test as to party affiliation. Which brings us to the next comment. Trying to be neutral is still a political bias, you idiot. And alas, this is the catch-22 of the world in which we live, when everything is so political that not being political is itself an act of politics. Politics is political, television is political, comedy is political, food is political.
Not being political is political.
And I push back on that because I'm not trying to be politically neutral. I am not trying to express a political opinion. I am trying to express a breakdown. I have my opinions, but when I try to break something down in non-political terms, it's not in an attempt to be politically neutral. It's just in an attempt to break something down and leave the politics to others. And I don't think trying to understand both sides is being politically neutral. In fact, I think the world would be a much better place if more people tried to actually do that. Sincerely, genuinely try to understand what their political adversaries are saying, thinking, why they're saying it, why they're thinking it, instead of rushing to demonize their ideological adversaries. This video does exactly what it accuses Legal Eagle of. If you bring up Joe Biden in the defense, you are using a red herring. This is not a court proceeding in which the complaint need meet the rules of evidence. With that statement alone, this video is complete junk and a knee-jerk response video. No time or diligence in preparing this has been done. In many spots, requiring research to give an answer is missing. This is shameful. If you like this, you are biased and looking for anything rebuttal of the issue as support for Trump. Sir, please just keep to making hack videos from your car when your wife allows. You are indeed no Legal Eagle. In fact, I would never use the term legal or law.
Harsh.
There's another thing I say above and beyond learning the most from critique. As a rule, the comments that hurt the most have an element of truth in them. This video does exactly what it accuses Legal Eagle of. I accuse Legal Eagle of having a bias that has tainted his interpretation of the situation, when some people can accuse my interpretation of Legal Eagle's interpretation as being affected by my own bias. I get that. As relates to me bringing up Joe Biden in the defense, and there's been a lot of comments on this that Joe Biden's alleged wrongdoing has nothing to do with Donald Trump's alleged wrongdoing, and that was never my purpose. In fact, I specifically stated that in the video. The only reason I brought up the Joe Biden-Hunter Biden issue is that it was one of the more glaring omissions from the 40-minute video that Legal Eagle did on the subject. Also, it made for a kind of humorous introduction to the video. I never raised it as a defense to the allegations against Trump, but only in support of my claim that there might have been a little bias in Legal Eagle's interpretation of the situation, that being one of the elements of evidence. The other element I brought up in my video being Legal Eagle couldn't possibly see the other side as to why the transcript for that telephone conversation was raised to above normal levels of protection, apparently. But the rest of the video, being 90-some-odd+% of the video, was only intended to be a walkthrough of the whistleblower complaint, something that I suspect a great many people are not actually going to do on their own. And here's the other thing about the written word, is it potentially tends to read in much harsher tones than the tone in which it might have actually been written.
After watching this video, I can say with reasonable safety that this video was not made in good faith. Do better.
Or I can read it like this.
After watching this video, I can say with reasonable safety this was not made in good faith. Do better.
Sarcasm and humor sometimes doesn't translate all that well in written word, and sometimes people write comments and don't mean them quite as harshly as they tend to read. Or other times they just clearly mean to try to crush your spirit and soul and everything you stand for in the world. Trying to hitch a ride on his success, huh? You look more like a Better Call Saul type lawyer, if you know what I mean. I'm not sure what you mean. I think I have an idea, and this would be another one of the ones that hurts because you can see the element of truth in it. And these are always the dilemmas that I go through in my own head. When I make these types of videos, I know people are going to view them like that. I know people are going to make that type of comment. People made those types of comments on my Dear Casey video that I made a while back. Hi Casey, this is Viva Fry. I'm a commercial litigator turned YouTuber, but this is not about YouTube and it's not about my channel. This is just between you and me, and well, I guess my two kids in the background, between them two, and just between you, me, and my kids, and well, okay, yeah, and one of my dogs, and oh yeah, that's right, this dog, also one of my other dogs. Whenever you make a video reaching out to another bigger YouTuber, that is necessarily how some people are going to see your attempt. Trying to get their attention, trying to ride off their coattails, trying to sort of siphon off some of their success for your own success. I know people are going to see that, I know people are going to say that, and then the question I ask myself is, do I not do what I want to do? Do I not do what I think is going to be funny, humorous, catchy, educational, because somebody's going to view it that way? And in a way, it is networking. It's legitimate networking on the platform that is YouTube. And while I will do it with the biggest and bigger YouTubers, I also do it with smaller YouTubers because I think it's fun to do, I think it's good for the community, and I think it's good for overall discussion. So no, even though I know people are going to see that, people are going to say that, I'm going to keep doing this because I think dialogue and discourse and discussion, to the extent that it remains civil, is good for everyone. And I appreciate that some people have taken issue with some elements of my video, but I still think it is good-natured, wholesome, informative dialogue, and I would love for a response from Legal Eagle because I suspect he might actually even agree with me to some extent. One comment on the substance of my video that a lot of people were making was that apparently shortly before the whistleblower complaint was filed, the rules as relates to hearsay were changed to allow whistleblower complaints to be based on hearsay. I in fact didn't know that when I made my video, and I remember being surprised when I saw that in a comment, and I had to go and independently verify that that was in fact the case. In fact, I don't even think Legal Eagle mentioned it in his video, because had he mentioned it in his video, I would have known about it when I made mine. And this is one of those perfect examples where people can see a political bias one way or the other based on an act of omission. That omission being that I did not reference the fact that the rules relating to whistleblower complaints were changed shortly before this whistleblower complaint was filed and allowed whistleblower complaints to be based on hearsay evidence, not direct evidence. And how can this swing both ways? Some people find it very suspicious that the rules relating to whistleblower complaints were changed shortly before this whistleblower complaint was filed. Some people are going to believe that it's almost as though the rules pertaining to whistleblowing complaints were made easier so that you could have these types of hearsay whistleblower complaints. And some people might think that by omitting that detail, I was trying to potentially bury the argument that there might have been some chicanery or loosening of the rules as relates to whistleblower complaints, which, lo and behold, culminates in this whistleblower complaint, which is by and large based on hearsay. Others might think that by omitting the fact that the rules were changed, I am in fact falsely trying to convey that the whistleblower complaint was somehow invalid or procedurally deficient or didn't meet the required threshold in law for a whistleblower complaint. And I perfectly understand both sides of that coin. All that to say is I didn't know that the rules had been changed. It is indeed relevant information, but I do think that that piece of information, which is indeed very interesting, only became widely known shortly after the whistleblower complaint itself made the news. And it perfectly perfectly illustrates the risk of perception of political bias through act or omission. Alright, so that is the back massage groin kick of reading comments on YouTube. If you like my videos and you like my content, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment in the comment section below. If you want some merch, I'll post the link down there as well. And remember, there is always room for humor. In as much as possible, give your ideological adversary the benefit of the doubt to the greatest extent possible until incontrovertible proof to the contrary. And when I called out Legal Eagle on what I perceived to be his political bias, it was not to undermine or discredit everything he has ever said. On the contrary, I specifically said it's not because he's biased that he's wrong. He might be right at the end of the day. I like Legal Eagle, I respect Legal Eagle, and I learn from Legal Eagle, and that is all that matters. And now you know your vlog. Peace out. Booyah!